his wealth having grown by $53 billion in 2022, leaving him with a total fortune of $211 billion. Bernard Arnault, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and the other billionaires that top the global rich list might be seen as exceptional. In some sense, they are. Yet dizzying sums of money don't just belong to those at the very top. In 2022, there were 2,668 billionaires on the Forbes list, and together they held $12,700 billion. Do you, like me, see all those zeros dancing before your eyes? That's because we don't know how to take in that number. That means that, on average, the value of their assets is $4.75 billion. If we ask the same question again, what's the equivalent lifetime hourly wage, we get $40,598 per hour, the equivalent to what many American families earn in a year. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. A billion is 1,000 million, but there are many more multi-millionaires than billionaires. If you had $50 million, pounds or euros, you might not be able to buy Twitter or fly to space, but you'd still have enough to never, ever have to worry about financial security again, and then some. For a long time, I felt that there was something wrong with an individual amassing so much money, but I couldn't properly articulate why. I was dissatisfied with the broad-brush explanation that capitalism was to blame for growing inequality, as if capitalism could operate like a machine with a will of its own, without people controlling it. I became intrigued by the protests of the Occupy movement in 2011 following the 2008 financial crisis. I couldn't help but feel that the activists had noticed much earlier than most academics that something was deeply wrong with the concentration of wealth in the hands of so few. Although the Occupy movement faded, it sowed a new and growing awareness of wealth disparities. We are the 99%, they declared, making the general public aware that the remaining 1% might be causing problems for us all. So in 2012, I decided to deploy my training in philosophy and economics to answer the question, can a person be too rich? This meant figuring out what too rich meant, and also looking for reasons why having too much money might be a bad thing, if they were at all plausible, of course. After all, it was possible that none of the arguments against wealth accumulation would be any good. I knew that I could be mistaken, that there might be nothing wrong with having many millions or even billions in the bank. I just wanted to find out. Some of my colleagues, professors in philosophy, economics and related disciplines, were initially amused that I wanted to delve into all this. Some argued that poverty was what mattered, not inequality. A few felt that focusing on the rich was an indication of envy on my part. This was a chastening reaction. Forming a belief merely based on envy is obviously a very bad thing to do, and one I would increasingly hear as my research developed, whether from politicians or people commenting on social media. I wasn't alone, however. Across various disciplines, not just my own, scholars were starting to see that something was happening at the upper levels of society, and that we ought to pay attention. Philosophers were beginning to develop new arguments identifying the problems with inequality. Sociologists had started to study the effects of extreme wealth on the lives of the super-rich and their children, and to consider how such wealthy people could justify having so much in an increasingly unequal world. Economists had begun piecing together the data necessary to ascertain how the distribution of income and wealth had changed over time. Their studies showed that while wealth and income inequalities had decreased in industrialized countries during the first half of the 20th century, this general tendency came to an end in the 1980s. In some countries, wealth and income inequalities had actually started increasing again, including, notably, the US and the UK. Political economists, meanwhile, had been finding explanations for rising inequality, as they looked at how the economic system had changed thanks to deliberate adjustments to the rules that govern markets. From different fields of research, different pieces of the puzzle were coming together.